Hi, Namaste. My name is Henry Jolicoeur. Today I come to present my new movie on self-inquiry, the process of self-realization recommended by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi. You can find this movie on our website, omillumination.com. For those of you that are new to the teaching of Bhagavan, let's just say that Sri Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi is considered to be one of the greatest sages of the 20th century. Carl Jung said that the teaching of Sri Ramana Maharishi are the purest and the highest that India has to offer. Ken Wilber said that Sri Ramana is the greatest yogi of the 20th century and one of the greatest light of all time. Ram Dass said that the teaching of Sri Ramana is a perfect blend between the head and the heart. The Dalai Lama said that the teaching of Sri Ramana are still guiding millions of people toward enlightenment. When I decided to make a documentary on the life and teaching of Bhagavan in 2011, the only person that the Sri Ramana Ashram recommended to explain the process of self-inquiry was Mr. David Godman, who at the time had been living in Tiruvamala for the past 40 years. He was kind enough to give us an interview, and as soon as this interview was posted on YouTube, it got tens of thousands of views. This is part of the interview.
Namaste, this is Henry. This morning I am with Mr. David Godman, who discovered Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi in 1974 and moved to Tiruvamala in 1976. Since then, he has written 12 books on the subject of Ramana Maharishi and consider Ramana Maharishi his main teacher.
There's a very simple explanation of how to do self-inquiry in Bhagavan's own 10-page book, which is also called Who Am I? There's one long paragraph that gives you everything you need to know about how to do it. If you go off to other teachers, if you read other books, then you're just going to get confused. If you want to know what Bhagavan says, what Bhagavan's instructions are, you read what he wrote himself, then you put your book down and then you start practicing it. You don't run all around the world looking for other teachers to tell you what to do.
So what's the summary of those small paragraphs?
First of all,
Yes.
I'll backtrack on that. I'll give you a very, very small theoretical background on what self-inquiry is and why it works.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you what Bhagavan said on how to practice.
Okay, well,
So the basic premise, according to Bhagavan, is that the individual I cannot exist unless it associates or identifies with something else. So you have this feeling or entity of I inside you, and he said it's a corrupted version of the true I, which is the self, and it's corrupted because it's always associating with something. I am a man, I am angry. You have a thought, you have a perception, and somehow the two get conflated together. There's never a pure I, there's always an I am this, I am feeling this, I am thinking this, I remember this. He said the way to get rid of this false I is to sever it from all the things it associates and identifies with. And he said the way to do that is not to put attention on the objects which the I is thinking, remembering, perceiving, but simply to be aware inside yourself of this basic fundamental I. He calls it the I thought. He said it's the basis of everything you know about yourself, everything you think about yourself, everything you do. There's this inner I. And he said if you become aware of it subjectively rather than as an object of your attention, and you constantly be vigilant in order to stop it associating with thoughts, ideas, then this I can't subsist or exist by itself. And once there are no longer any objects that it can latch onto, it has to subside. Because it can't exist in isolation, slowly it sinks back to the place of its origin, which is the self, and it disappears. He said any technique that puts attention on an object rather than on a subject takes you away from the self, and any technique which consists of inhering in this subjective awareness takes you back to the self. So he said this works and all the others don't, because you're always projecting your attention externally with the other techniques. With this one, you're attacking the fundamental common thread to all your experience and allowing it to dissolve by constant inner awareness of it. So now we get to what Bhagavan says. He said the way to do it is to, he said, whenever you get a thought or an idea in your head, or you see something, you say, who is perceiving this? Who is thinking this? To which automatically the answer has to be I. I am perceiving this. I am thinking this. He said, then ask the question, who am I? As a method of focusing on this inner subjective feeling of I. And basically, that's the beginning and end of his advice. He said, each time you become distracted, each time you become aware that you're no longer wholly absorbed in this inner feeling of I, go back to it again. Who is being distracted? Who is in this new train of thought? Who is now thinking about what he's having for dinner? I. Who am I? And you go back to this inner feeling of I again and again and again. And sooner or later, he says, it will subside and it will disappear. Now, what's complicated about that?
I decided that I wanted much more information about the process of self-inquiry, so I made another documentary in 2014, and this time with the help of Dr. Reinhard Jung. We went deeply into what is the process of self-inquiry. I have now put together a 90-minute movie, which I think is the very best way to explain and to practice the process of self-inquiry. On the website, you will find a free download of the booklet, Who Am I?, which is the most important document, according to Sri Ramana Maharishi, to explain what is self-inquiry. So we encourage you to learn this process and encourage our non-profit Canadian organization, OmIllumination.com. Thank you very much.